The first Star Trek movie released directly on Paramount Plus. Is it a direct hit or a near miss?
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Once more unto the bridge, dear friends.
Again and again until we're both dead.
There's only like 12 stories. They change around little details, but all pretty much the same.
Deja vu. Something very familiar about it.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, Movie Reviews Connections of Mind. Star Trek Section 31 is the first Star Trek feature released directly on Paramount Plus. It is a spin-off from Star Trek Discovery, and it once again features Michelle Yeoh return to the role of Philippa Georgiou, or rather her mirror counterpart, who was the Empress of the Terran Empire, who after retiring from Section 31 finds herself drawn back into the fold for a dangerous mission alongside a ragtag band of agents and Starfleet officers who she's not entirely certain she can trust any of them. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Section 31. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, however, but just so you know, there's some spoilers later on. But first things first, let's get into Star Trek Section 31. Is this a good Star Trek movie? Is it worth that Paramount Plus subscription fee? I would say if you're a die-hard Trek fan, if you have been following the revival of Star Trek since the beginning of Discovery onwards, you were really excited when Georgiou left the show in, I believe it was season 3, that she ends up going through the time portals. Where is she going to go next? I'd love to see more of her. There's going to be something for you to enjoy in this, but beyond that, if you're just a casual moviegoer and you have just a basic understanding of Star Trek, you're not going to appreciate this on a couple different levels. One, this feels exactly what it is. Being a Star Trek Section 31 was going to be its own spin-off series, but along the way it got retooled into a standalone movie. Whereas something like Moana 2, which also had a similar experience where that was going to be a streaming show too, but then it got reworked into a movie. But they actually took a lot of time and they were reworking certain things, and it actually did feel like a movie, but you could still feel but the streaming service show elements, you kind of picked them out, but they were you could kind of ignore them. It still felt like a complete movie. This, on the other hand, feels very much like they just took 3 episodes of the show that they produced and then just smashed them together, and it's like, all right, well, we're going to call that a movie and just be done with it. Because, I mean, literally, when, there are plenty of movies out there that, have, cut to black and you have, a chapter, title going through it, and that's a choice we make, and that can be an effective choice. But in this context, it feels like they put those little, they call them, Transmission 1 or Classified Transmission 2 or whatever, something. And it really does feel like, that's where the title card would have been, that's where the episode name would have gone, and, that's, it is very disjointed. And it makes it, it is very distracting from that. But putting aside the troubled production history of this, take it as a whole, take it as its own, standalone movie, this would still be a massive mess because this movie just does not know what it wants to be, I think. It feels, on the one hand, you have Philippa Georgiou, Michelle Yeoh's character, who we kind of sort of dive into her past and how she became the Terran Emperor, and what it took for her to ascend to the throne, and then beyond that, does she regret those choices? Is a mirror universe person getting quote unquote infected with a conscience, and that kind of moral dilemma? It's like that could be interesting if that was the primary focus of the movie, but it isn't. And you have all these other characters, and we'll get to that in a second. But it really, you got this ragtime. It got kind of a Mission Impossible vibe to it, where you got this group of mercenaries who, they're like, hey, we got this mission. We got to find this thing. We got the MacGuffin, which the flavor of MacGuffin this time it's a thing something called the Godsend, and they make there's a whole, they stop and pause. It's like, wait, is it Godsend or God's End? Like, they spend, I kid you not, 45 seconds of banter back and forth of, they were in the middle of an exposition dump as to what this thing is, and then they just pause and be like, oh, is it Godsend or God's End? That's such a confusing name. Why would you call it? It's not funny in the least, and you could tell that someone was begging to make this joke, and they were just so happy to make it into the final cut. They just want to. They could not cut on any of it, and it wants to be like this wacky banter kind of team adventure kind of thing, and the banter doesn't work. The comedy doesn't work. The characters come off as annoying for vast majorities of the movie. You don't get to know pretty much anything about these characters other than Giorgio and the team leader, who they go into his backstory a little bit, which again, if you don't know Star Trek, then you're not going to really fully appreciate his character background, which again, but then again, it's also so surface level. It's like Trekkies are going to be somewhat disappointed. You go dive deeper into that. Non-Trekkies are going to be like, okay, well, why is that significant? Who is this movie made for? And on top of all of this, the editing is terrible. I mean, a tube or whatever with a whole bunch of lights flying around. It kind of reminds me of the scene in The World Is Not Enough when James Bond and Dr. Jones are on the oil pipeline platform that has a bomb on it. They're trying to disarm it as it's racing down the tunnel. Only that one, you could actually see what was going on. And this one, you can't see what's going on half the time because it's flashing light in your face. I'm surprised no one got a seizure from looking at this thing. And it's just, it looks horrible. And even the space battles, there was some kind of imaginative thinking going on here, but even that looks chopped into pieces and doesn't look pretty at all. It's really telling when, with every, Star Trek, movie, you have the hero ship. You got the Enterprise, or you got Voyager. It's pretty much always the Enterprise. Let's be honest here, but it's a good-looking design and whatever. And even with the new Star Trek, the new Star Trek franchise logo has the ship, warping around, and the warp trail traces the Star Trek logo, and then that's what it is. It's always the hero ship. It always changes depending on which hero ship. It's sometimes the Kirk's Enterprise, or it's Picard's Enterprise, or whatever. This, they have a garbage scow that is pretty much just a brick. It looks basically like a brick with a cockpit on it, and it's like, wait, is that it? That's the hero ship? That's ugly. And it's like, that's not endearing at all. And, I could just go on and on about this. Really, the only positives that I can really attribute to this movie are Michelle Yeoh's acting. She's always having a good time, and she's bringing her A game to this. And I will say, this semi-spoiler, not really. She's in the, on the cast list, and it's revealed in the trailer. But we see Lieutenant Rachel Garrett, played by Casey Roll. And if you're in Trekkie, or even if you're not, if you're a Trekkie, or if you're a non-Trekkie, all you need to know is she eventually becomes the captain of the Enterprise C. So we know that this is set in the lost time between the end of the original series and the beginning of Next Generation. That's a time period we have very little information about, so that could be interesting. And Learning about Rachel Garrett, I mean, she's played very differently from her one episode appearance in Next Generation, but it's curious to see, like, how is this person going to turn into that? It's kind of like the Abrams verse kind of thing, where where Chris Pine's James Kirk is very different from Shatner's Kirk, but then again, we met them at different points in their lives. So how does this person become this one? It's kind of like the difference between Patrick Stewart's Professor X and James McAvoy's 60s era Professor X. Like, how does this person become that person? That's an interesting thing, and she does a good job in her role, I think. And she has a couple of funny lines, especially near the end. But overall, that's pretty much it. Well, I would have to say this was just a massive letdown, a big miss for Star Trek. I think this is going to get forgotten extremely quickly. And, I don't think anyone's going to be wanting to seek this out after this first couple weeks of it being in the social media verse. Is going to be forgotten very soon. And so with that in mind, if I was going to give Star Trek Section 31 a letter grade, I would say this is a solid D. A D. It's not great at all. And if I was going to also put the weigh in the Star Trek Section 31 on the scale of unoriginality, I would say it weighs in at homage doesn't fly. It feels like it took all these inspirations from a couple other things and just didn't do anything different with them. It's like, that's what it is. And so with that in mind, those are my main spoiler-free thoughts on Section 31. Now let's get some spoiler talk as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Like I said, I kind of danced around what I really wanted to say. With this, I mentioned Mission Impossible kind of thing, but really, once you get into meeting the ragtag band of mercenaries, it really feels like someone just saw Suicide Squad. Not even the Suicide Squad, the 2016 Suicide Squad, and it's just like that. Let's just put that and make it Star Trek. Which, forgetting the fact that that's not Star Trek at all. From like a tone and universe kind of stand. They just want to put Suicide Squad into the Star Trek universe, and it just doesn't work at all. But I think its most egregious thing is, like I said, the fact that this feels like 3 episodes of an aborted TV show that were just smashed together. It feels a lot like The Return of Jafar, where that was the first sequel movie it was billed as a sequel movie to Aladdin, but when you watch it, it's painfully obvious that this was the first, 4 or 5 episodes of the Aladdin TV show that was going to be coming out on the Disney Channel at that point, and they just smashed them together and called it a movie. And, it's painfully obvious that that's what it is. And that, that's exactly what this movie feels like. To its very much detriment. But like I said, that's, I just felt like I was just left with the feeling where it's like, am I supposed to care about any of these characters? You run through these quirks, and aside from Michelle Yeoh, Georgia, which we know, she's the hero. She's probably not going to die at this point. Although it would have been an interesting turn if she did. And then, by the end, when, they're at the bar again, and they're, we're going to reveal who Control is, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Cool. I don't care. It's like, just end this already. I just felt drained by the end of this movie. I was not left with a good feeling at all. But, yeah, that's kind of what this movie left me with. What did you think of Star Trek Section 31? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which will be for Captain America: Brave New World, which comes out February 14th, I believe. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, You have seen it before.